Humanity basically decided feelings were too much work and hit the off switch. Huge mistake. Now everyone is rotting from the inside out, turning into these nasty monsters called malefacts. The world is completely busted, and their so-called evolution just doomed them all to a slow, miserable decay. At the core of this totally infected world is a fragment of the Beast of Reincarnation. People are completely burnt out and ready to give up. But then rumors drop about this one girl named Emma in the East. She is literally the only glimmer of hope remaining. Emma is out looking for this massive monster called a Nushi. She rolls up to a totally abandoned village and meets some random dude who basically tells her to avenge his people. The whole vibe is incredibly bleak, but Emma is completely unfazed by the heavy expectations. Emma totally holds her own against the Nushi, which is honestly wild. Brad tells her to fall back and rest because she is completely drained. Even though she wants to chase it down, she realizes she does not really have a choice and heads back to the walker. Flashback time to Emma being treated worse than actual garbage. A literal golem tells her she is just a blight-stained monster with no heart or humanity. Violet chimes in, reminding Emma she is actually a person, even if her meals are just depressing dried fish and beans. Emma tracks down a wounded pale malefact in the forest. Just as she is about to finish it off, some mysterious voice begs her not to kill it. The malefact is named Coup. Instead of ending him, she just randomly decides to bring him back with her. Brad drops some lore about the sky, mentioning how looking at the crescent moon is basically a death sentence. He also explains the economy, noting that people use amber instead of metal for money now, because it does not rot. It is super valuable in the outside world. Emma finds a massive gate blocking her path to the Nushi, but it requires 3 specific keys to open. A heavily blighted guy hands her the red key and tells her to track down the blue and yellow ones. He even hooks her up with a sick sword. Emma wants to be completely honest about finding Coup, but Violet quickly shuts that down. She warns Emma that telling the truth will lead to massive consequences. They decide to lie and claim the pale malefact got away, keeping Coup a secret from the absolute worst colony leaders. The people in the colony are just incredibly toxic. They call Emma a filthy stain and treat her like absolute dirt, lowballing her when she tries to sell some fruit. The whole place is leaking and depressing, making the capital look like a literal paradise in comparison. Kagura approaches Emma to thank her for offering the fruit earlier. It is literally the first time anyone in the colony has ever been nice to Emma, and she is totally stunned. Kagura seems incredibly lonely, and the interaction sparks a tiny bit of warmth for both girls. Hi there! If you want to enjoy more gaming lore without grinding for 60 hours, hit that subscribe button. I do the grinding so you don't have to. Your support really helps the channel. The administrator drops an official edict, acting like an absolute boss. He reveals the Beast of Reincarnation is returning to destroy everything. Because Emma can handle multiple strains of blight, he tasks her with absorbing power from the Nushi and taking down the beast. No pressure at all. After a massive fight, Shido observes Emma from a distance, recognizing her as the vessel. He acts incredibly cryptic, calling her a bird flying free while setting up the journey toward the beast. He basically tells her to put on a good show before vanishing into the shadows. Kagura volunteers to join the crew, wanting to help Emma after being saved. She literally offers to cook and clean just to tag along. Brad surprisingly agrees, noting their ship is super understaffed. They instantly become roommates on this wildly dangerous mission, heading toward the mysterious capital together. After finally taking down the Nushi, Emma absorbs its power, which literally turns her hair a different color. She takes off her mask, realizing she does not need it anymore. Brad and Kagura are totally impressed, while Coup remains absolutely devoted to his new best friend. Brad explains why it is called the Beast of Reincarnation. Apparently, it dies but just respawns whenever a specific comet falls from the sky. He admits he is extremely interested in figuring out its secret. He shares this just so they can build a tiny bit of mutual trust. Emma heads down into the sketchy underground ruins and meets a golem who actually offers to help. He points her toward a control panel to open the gate, but mentions she needs to activate the generators first. At least he is not aggressively hostile like everyone else around. The Nushi totally runs away during the fight, using a random hole to escape to the surface. Brad realizes it is heading to its lair beyond the locked gate. They now have absolutely zero choice but to find a way to power up the control panel and follow it. Emma meets Mikoto, a boy who can literally hear the voices of the malefacts. He notices her blight and offers to enhance her hair, boosting her power. It is a super random but helpful encounter, and they exchange signal codes before he casually wanders back into the dangerous ruins. Violet starts having these totally random, hazy flashbacks about sunny days and starry skies. She has zero clue what they actually mean or where they came from. Emma is just as confused, wondering what Violet truly is and why these deeply buried memories are suddenly bubbling to the surface. Emma asks Violet to explain the concept of love. Violet tells her to imagine losing someone she cannot bear to be without. When Emma says the thought makes her chest tight and uneasy, she realizes she must love Violet. It is a surprisingly sweet and deeply emotional moment. The crew arrives at a massive mountainous region where corrupted golems are basically on a weird religious pilgrimage. Brad warns Emma that the locals are totally isolated and deeply devoted to some shadowy culture. They also detect a Nushi nearby, meaning things are about to get incredibly chaotic. They notice the Nushi is acting weird, and Brad realizes someone else is out there absorbing its power. Since only a blight-stained sealer can do that, they know another powerful vessel is lurking around. Emma has to track them down before this mysterious rival gets way too strong. Shido finally confronts Emma, acting like a total menace. He calls her a vessel and claims he is totally ready to devour her whole. The guy is completely unhinged and demands to see what kind of combat tricks she has picked up before they start a massive brawl. Shido absolutely wrecks Emma and starts taunting her about her fate. He claims the blight is actively eating away at her body and that the world completely shuns people like them. He leaves her alive, basically saying she needs more time to ripen before he finishes the job. Kagura decides to start keeping a diary and asks Emma to describe the outside world. Emma tells her about the ancient writing everywhere, and Kagura gets super excited to document it all. It is incredibly wholesome watching Kagura try to find tiny bits of joy in this apocalyptic wasteland. Brad stays up late researching and tells Emma she needs to strengthen her emotional bond with Coup. He thinks their connection makes their combat power stronger. Emma claims she does not feel emotions, but Brad totally calls her bluff, urging her to focus on the adrenaline she feels fighting. Emma starts questioning what actually drives people to do things. She asks Brad about his underlying motives, genuinely trying to understand conviction and purpose. Brad is super defensive and refuses to share his trauma, telling her to just focus on hunting down the violently aggressive Nushi currently chasing them. While exploring, Emma remembers Kagura casually asking if there is anyone she loves. Mikoto also mentioned fighting to save his homeland for someone special. Emma is deeply confused by the concept, still struggling to understand her own feelings and what it means to actually care about someone else romantically. Brad is secretly talking to someone about Emma becoming stronger through her own choices. The mysterious contact warns that this might seriously agitate the beast. Brad admits he would rather do this solo but trusts Emma. They both know Violet is getting dangerously close to fully waking up inside. Brad tries explaining emotions to Emma, framing them as a totally normal evolutionary survival sensor. He says feelings like fear just keep people from doing stupid things. When Emma mentions her chest feeling tight after sharing Cou's memories, Brad encourages her to hold on to that feeling and learn from it. Emma keeps pressing Brad about his past, and he finally caves a little. He admits he volunteered for this horrific mission for completely personal reasons involving his brother in the capital. He calls his brother a total idiot, but clearly cares, promising to spill the full story another time. Brad casually mentions taking the coastal route, and Emma and Kagura are totally clueless about what the sea even is. He tries explaining it as a giant lake that changes how the wind smells. It is honestly tragic that these girls have never even seen a basic ocean before. They reach the Matsukawa colony, only to find out the locals were literally breeding a Nushi underground. A massive mutated Beast Attacks, proving the colony completely played themselves. Emma and Koo have to step up and handle this absolute disaster because the colony's defensive plan failed miserably. Emma wakes up from intense nightmares about her shifting memories. She is genuinely terrified that she does not belong with her friends and worries she might lose her place by their side. Kagura is incredibly sweet, comforting her and making sure Emma knows she is totally safe and loved. The mysterious guy talking to Brad claims he decided to entrust the future to Emma and Koo. He acts like he had some massive revelation at the crossroads of fate, deciding they were literally born for this exact purpose. He sounds incredibly dramatic, but clearly has a massive plan. Kagura innocently asks Emma if anything out in the wild actually scares her. Emma admits she never really thought about it, while Kagura confesses she is constantly terrified. Emma realizes that facing those fears might actually make her stronger, showing she is slowly starting to understand human emotions. Shido corners Emma again, ranting about how he is driven by absolute emptiness. He claims that when you have nothing, stealing power is totally justified. He plans to devour Emma to rule the world alongside his sister, fully embracing his villain era with some seriously unhinged monologues about survival. Emma's blight erosion is getting noticeably worse, and Kagura is extremely worried. Despite her body failing, Emma promises to keep fighting until she finds a safe world where Kagura can actually live in peace. It is a deeply emotional moment, proving Emma genuinely cares about her newfound family. Violet drops a massive bombshell, revealing that the more Emma absorbs Blight, the closer Violet gets to fully waking up. If that happens, Violet will completely overwrite Emma's soul. To protect Emma, Violet decides she has to sever their connection entirely, warning that Emma will forget she ever existed. Emma steps outside the Ore colony and randomly runs into Mikoto. He claims he was denied entry, but seems incredibly unbothered, confidently predicting they will get in tomorrow. He chats with Emma for a minute before vanishing again, leaving her totally confused about why he is suddenly lurking around. The colony gets absolutely wiped out by two unexpected Nushi. The overseer begs the crew for help after completely dismissing them earlier. Emma heads out to clean up their massive mess, realizing the beast's power is seriously stimulating these monsters and making everything incredibly chaotic and deadly. Violet suddenly remembers her past in Shambhala. Realizing the terrible truth of her existence, she decides to completely sacrifice herself to protect Emma. She says a heartbreaking goodbye, knowing that severing their bond will erase all of Emma's memories of her, but it is the only way Emma survives. Emma wakes up looking totally confused. She repeats the name Violet, but has absolutely zero idea who that is. Kagura notices something is incredibly wrong, but decides to brush it off. Emma feels like she is forgetting something massively important, completely unaware that she just lost her closest companion. Brad tells his contact he is letting Emma in on their massive plan, but refuses to make the final choice for her. He believes Emma is a true phenomenon with her own resolve. He trusts her to make the right decision about taking down the administrator when the time comes. Brad finally removes the restrictive collar Emma has worn her entire life. He tells her she is completely free to choose her own path, whether that means fighting, running, or forgiving. He wants her to stop hiding behind orders and actually live her life with total agency and freedom. The crew is suddenly attacked by these weird purifiers. When Emma knocks their masks off, she realizes they have the exact same face as Shido. Brad realizes Shido is a synthetic clone and warns Emma that the real Shido is definitely plotting something massive regarding the vessel situation. Coup asks Emma what they will do once this insanely stressful journey is finally over. Emma admits she is actually terrified of the journey ending, but promises they will figure it out together. She finds comfort knowing Coup will stay by her side no matter what happens at the capital. The walker gets completely ambushed by invisible enemies. Brad forces Emma and Kagura to run, locking himself behind to hold off the swarm. He absolutely refuses to let them stay, sacrificing his own life so they can escape. It is a massively tragic end for their grumpy but caring captain. Emma wakes up in a massive panic, suffering from intense amnesia after the shock of losing Brad. She has absolutely no idea who she is or who Kagura is. Kagura is completely heartbroken, but steps up, promising to protect Emma and keep her safe in this cozy new home. Kagura tries to keep Emma away from fighting, showing her the diary she kept of their journey. She just wants them to live peacefully without any more trauma. However, a local leader demands Emma fulfill her duty as a purifier, forcing her right back into this incredibly toxic conflict. During a brutal fight, Coup reaches out to Emma, and the connection completely restores her broken memories. She remembers Brad, Kagura, and finally reconnects with Violet in her mind. Emma demands Violet stay with her, refusing to let her sacrifice herself. They agree to face the terrifying future together. Violet reveals the insane truth. Emma's body was just a synthetic backup vessel grown in Shambhala. Violet tried to hide in it, but a brand new soul suddenly sparked to life inside. That soul is Emma. Violet spent her whole life protecting Emma to atone for this wild experiment. The crew finds a hidden message from Brad. He explains the Beast of Reincarnation was actually created by 3 ancient scientists to save humanity. He points Emma toward the basement of Starfall Tower, giving her the final clues she needs to stop the Administrator and finish the mission. Brad's recording reveals Shambhala is a massive digital backup for humanity. The nanopods meant to transfer souls mutated, creating the Blight and destroying the real world. Everyone left behind became golems or died. The whole apocalypse was basically a massive tech glitch that spiraled completely out of control. Brad confesses he originally saw Emma as just a convenient weapon to take down the Administrator, but watching her grow, he genuinely started caring for her. He leaves her with a special weapon to stop the beast's regeneration, trusting her to make the right choice in the final battle. Kagura and Emma talk about Starfall Tower, wondering what ancient people were doing building massive structures into the sky. Bera notes the scenery, reminds her of home. Emma realizes that home is not a place, but simply being together with her friends. The vibes are surprisingly peaceful and sweet. Bera runs a diagnostic and drops horrible news. Emma's blight erosion is terminal, and she only has a month to live. The only cure is finding an ancient implant machine in the capital. They have to rush into the center of the wildly dangerous city before Emma completely deteriorates. Shido intercepts Emma, acting incredibly unhinged. He claims Emma is just an empty synthetic shell meant to house his dead sister, Erica. He completely dismisses Emma's newly found emotions and soul, demanding she let herself be wiped clean so Erica can return from Shambhala and take over her body. Emma finally pieces the puzzle together. She realizes the Beast of Reincarnation is not acting alone. The people uploaded into Shambhala are the actual players pulling the strings. They are deliberately controlling the malefacts and spreading the blight to force their own twisted version of a perfect reality. Emma finds a medical pod in the ruined capital and leaves Kagura there to stay safe. She promises Kagura she will absolutely return alive. Bera assures Kagura that Coup will always be able to track Emma down. Emma then heads out completely solo to confront the manipulative Administrator directly. The Administrator admits he helped the Beast orchestrate the apocalypse to force human evolution. He thinks the Blight is perfectly weeding out the weak, leaving only superior Blight-born humans to inherit the Earth. He is absolutely delusional, calling this mass extinction a beautiful new dawn for a better species. After a massive fight, a dying Shido realizes Emma is the true vessel. Instead of killing her, he completely changes his tune and begs her to take his power. He sacrifices himself so she can become strong enough to defeat the beast, telling her not to end up like him. Emma reaches the center of the Blight and finds Mikoto, who reveals he is actually the Beast of Reincarnation. He created this entire apocalypse because he fell in love with Violet, a Shambhala oracle. He orchestrated everything just to force Violet back into a body so they could be together. Mikoto demands Emma and Koo merge with him to create his twisted utopia for Violet. Emma totally rejects his insane logic. She refuses to let him sacrifice the entire world just for his tragic romance. She declares she is fighting to protect her current home and her chosen family. Mikoto mortally wounds Koo and Emma. In a final, desperate move, Violet uses her ultimate power of reincarnation. She sacrifices her own existence to heal them, ensuring Emma and Koo can survive. It is a completely devastating goodbye as Violet fades away, leaving Emma to live her own life. Emma slowly wakes up to find Koo waiting for her. They return to Kagura, who is totally overjoyed. The nightmare is finally over, and the three of them head out into a beautiful sunny field together. They found their perfect ending, ready to just live completely normal, happy lives. Gaming lore is long and confusing, but I break it down every week. Subscribe so you never miss a plot twist or hidden detail. Thanks for watching.